It's all about the Macro Productions.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Daylight NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Muammar Gaddafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles in Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, Macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you're watching us on Rockfin or Rumble or listening wherever podcasts are served, thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you want to connect with me, the website, macroaggressions.io, that's the best place to do that. Have you rated the show? Oh, if you think we've earned 5 stars, we certainly would appreciate it. It'll take you 3 seconds to do it, and we're going to fight the algorithm battle as long as we have to. Huge thanks to our sponsors. They make this show happen. Legal Shield has been doing this for 50 years in Canada and the United States. And if you don't have an attorney, you have one now. $1 a day, $30 a month will get you access to an attorney in your area that can help you out with a variety of items. Best thing to do is go to the website, don'tgetpushedaround.com, that they built specifically for the show. And you can take a look and see what you think. They have ID Shield. They have a small business plan. They have documentation for people that carry guns, things like that, reputation management, credit bureau watching, all that stuff. I mean, it's all there. There's so much that you really do need to go to the website and just take a look and see what you think, see if it's a fit for you. It's really easy to do once you get signed up with them. They just give you an app on your phone and you just push a couple buttons and it automatically contacts the attorney closest to you, and you can set up an appointment, knock out a bunch of documents. They know you're going to knock out a bunch of documents right off the bat, because in the app, in the drop-down menu of the things that you want to do, it's all those things that I always mention, like last will and testament, power of attorney, all those documents that are there. They're expecting you to come in and do that, and you should, because if you don't have a last will and testament, you are asking for trouble, right? Hopefully nothing bad happens. But in the event that it does, you've just added a lot of complexity to your family while you're gone. They have to deal with the state, probate, and all that stuff, and it sucks. Just don't do that. Just be proactive, please. Or at least, go to the website, take a look, see what you think. Don'tgetpushedaround.com is the place to do that. Also, Chemical Free Body. Are you taking Green 85? It looks weird. I admit, it looks like green slime. Thank God it tastes a hell of a lot better than it looks, because I drink it every day. It's fantastic. I don't eat enough vegetables. This is, in my mind, my vegetable supplementation program. I've been taking it every morning for 4 years, and I'm never going to stop. Okay. Tim makes great products. They actually work. If you don't get the Green 85, there's all kinds of other things over there. Pat Miletich, UFC Hall of Famer, and Tim combined and worked on a product called Super Soldier. So if you're interested in that, it sounds like something Alex Jones would be selling. And I've told you before, Alex Jones surprisingly has good vitamins too. So go to chemicalfreebody.com, take a look over there, see what you think. If your health is suffering, you can listen to Tim James' podcast. He's fantastic. He's such a good guy, and he cares so much about getting people healthy that if you're going to spend your money on vitamins and supplements, keep it in the family. Spend it with people that like you. Spend it with people that understand where we're coming from. A chemical-free body is definitely one of those places. If you find something that you like over there, the discount code is macro. Well, I want to talk about what's going to happen in the White House in 2025 as Donald Trump ascends to the throne, more than likely, unless they kill him, unless they finally get him. But it looks like the script calls for Donald Trump to return to the White House in 2025, and that would be of great interest to the Heritage Foundation. You might have heard of them. They have something called Project 2025, and everybody's up in arms. The Democrats are all freaked out. It's a manifesto. They're going to round us up and put us in camps. Oh, if only it was about rounding you up, putting you in camps. No, I'm not in favor of that. Not even for the loony left. But boy, they should be institutionalized. At the very least, institutionalized for their own safety and the safety of the planet. But what the Heritage Foundation has done, they're a conservative group. We're gonna get into a little bit about them. What the show is, because I had people emailing me saying, "What is Project 2025? Is it a big deal? Should we be concerned about it? Is it is it the next like Russiagate type of thing?" So, well, not really, because there's no scandal connected to it. So I've read the emails. So I looked into it, and look, it's not the end of the world, okay? And it's not a huge deal, and you can tell it's not a huge deal because the left is making a huge deal of it. That's how you can tell there's nothing there. So what I'm going to do is this: we'll talk a little bit about kind of who these people are, what the Heritage Foundation is all about, how many Boy Scouts they have buried in their crawl space and things like that. And then we'll get on to what Project 2025 is and what it kind of reminds me of and all that good stuff. But again, I mean, they wrote a 922 page manifesto. I'll call it that too. I mean, it's not like I'd read the Unabomber's manifesto before I'd read it. It's fucking based, by the way. But I would read his before you read this. This makes rebuilding America's defenses look like a book report, frankly. And they call this book, and it is a book. It's literally 2 books. They made it into books. It's so big. They call this book "Mandate for Leadership / the Conservative Promise." So they're conservatives, and it comes out of, it's come out, and Project 2025 is talking about this new concept, rebuilding or mandate for leadership, the Conservative Promise. Rebuilding America's defenses. It's like, absent some catastrophic or catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor or the president getting shot at, I mean, you feel like you feel like they've been working on this for a while, and they have. They know what they want. But listen, before we get into what Project 2025 is, let's be clear about who the Heritage Foundation is first, right? I think it's important to understand, because everyone's all up in arms and they're saying these people have put out this document, and it's Trump's document, and this is what Trump is going to do and everything. This is no. Let me start by saying this. This is not Trump's document. Trump's document is Project 47, which you might want to change to Project 48, because there's a chance that Kamala is 47 and then he's 40. I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible. That old Joe Biden doll doesn't make it to the finish line, or they decide to throw him off a bridge or something, then they'll install Kamala and she'll be 47. And then Project 47 will have a totally different meaning, and it will probably involve knee pads and benzos. Heritage Foundation, founded in 1973. What else was founded in 1973? Trilateral Commission was. I wonder if they had anything to do with that. I wonder if there was any overlap between those groups. Maybe. 2 of the 3 founders of the Heritage Foundation are members of Les Cirkel, if that gives you any idea of where this is headed. Because if you know who they are, and we've done some shows on that over the last year or so, Les Cirkel is extremely dangerous, right? The circle. So when you come out of that group, you're on a very, very specific list. They're hardcore conservatives in the UK as well as the United States. I mean, it's not just limited to they're not called the Heritage Foundation in the UK. They are called Institute for European Defense and Strategic Studies, or that's what was created by them. That's sort of what they go by. But there's a lot of overlap between the US and UK here. They are, it's primarily the United States, but it's Anglo WASP shit. Okay, so when you're talking about conservative American white people, you're also sort of by default getting lumped in conservative British white people too, right? So because we're all white devils, as you know, as the left has told us. So this group is not just limited to the United States, okay? And you would understand that when I start to tell you who's involved. So again, who's financing Heritage Foundation? They got to get money from somewhere. They're not setting up lemonade stands. What are they doing? They're not selling bean pies on the corner. What are they doing? Well, they're taking money from some diabolical foundations, okay? I mean, we have talked about the Hewlett Foundation now for the last year, and it goes under the radar because nobody knows who they are, but they are depopulation and world government, period, end of story, okay? And if you look at who the Hewlett Foundation has financed, it's rough, right? It's all the climate kooks. It's all the, let's start World War III. It's all the world government people. It's especially all of the depopulation groups. They give money to groups that don't need money, just to make sure they have enough money to make sure that they can thin out the herd. That's the Hewlett Foundation in a nutshell. And of course, they're one of the two main foundations behind this. The other one being the Koch family foundation with the Koch brothers. So, this is just a different flavor of conservative insanity. Okay, it's new Coke, right? Koch brothers flavored. So, but they don't just limit it to that, okay? Because they know that if they opened up the floodgates, one of the things they say is, we're not going to take money from the government. Because if we take money from the government, then it creates big problems. Yeah, it's true. I don't think that the Heritage Foundation is not taking money from the government because they don't want this to be misconstrued as some sort of deep state operation. I think they're just not taking money from the government because it's just easier for them to not have the reporting of it. They would take if USAID and the CIA wanted to give the Heritage Foundation $100 million quietly, they'd take it, right? So this is just, here's how it's set up. The way they've set this up is that they actually get 50% of their revenue from their individual supporters just through direct mail advertising. They just send mailings like Publishers Clearinghouse, I guess. I don't know. You may have won Salvation by the Heritage Foundation. They send it out to conservatives and they get 130,000 people every year to give them money back. I can't imagine a scenario in which I send money to the Heritage Foundation. In any scenario in which it doesn't involve me just taking it out back and lighting it on fire before I did that. But 130,000 people seem to disagree with me on that one, and they love giving money to the Heritage Foundation so that they can squander it and use it for all kinds of crazy shit, including drafting Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation takes money from oil companies, tons of them, multinational banks. So it's not like they're like, oh, we're not going to take money from the government because we are above reproach. It's like, oh, here's ExxonMobil, here's Chevron, here's BP Amoco, here's all these companies giving us money. Oh, you want to take money from? Oh, we don't want to take money from the government. We hate the government. The government is awful. Oh, Chase Bank wants to give me money, and Goldman Sachs, sure, we'll take that. So they're not Puritans. They're just right wings. And by the way, they also they take money from every. I said that the Hewlett Foundation and the Koch family foundations were the foundations that give them money. They're the main foundations that give them money. Let me be clear. All those other like hardcore conservative weirdo foundations give them money as well. So it's not the only one. They receive donations from over 100 of the largest companies in America. I don't totally know why, but they do. And they have a really good fundraising game that is predicated on direct mail and blackmail. So that'll work, right? What is your marketing campaign for this? Well, we're going to create half of our revenue from direct mail, and then we're going to blackmail the shit out of everyone else for the other half. So there you go. That's the Heritage Foundation, allegedly. So this represents the WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant interests. Okay. Hardcore conservatives, typically Christian, definitely skews honky for sure. I mean, they're not going to come right out and say it in any of their documentations, but they're not totally down with the brown. They would prefer, this is like, for all you people out there, they're like, the Ku Klux Klan is lighting crosses on fire and everything. The Ku Klux Klan is like an NGO, right? Like a weird NGO. And you want to get into like Klan-esque behavior, like Robert Byrd, Grand Cyclops type behavior. Joe Biden eulogized, by the way. If you ain't black, if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black, as he sits with Robert Byrd at the Grand Wizard of the KKK and all that stuff. So it represents mostly traditionally white interests. Okay, that's the Heritage Foundation. I mean, they're sort of, this is the mythical Klan rally that everybody's talking about. Like, this is it. This is the Klan rally where they all wear 3-piece suits. They would prefer, this is kind of a little bit of an unusual twist in here, because when you take money from the Hewlett Foundation, you would assume that you wanted world government, meaning the clicking up of all countries into one big government. But in actuality, the Heritage Foundation would prefer if Europe would remain a group of nation states and not click up into European unions and things like that, because they think that it is best for them, meaning America, if it stays that way. I think they're right in that regard. I think it's a bad idea to group up countries like that for a variety of reasons. Obviously, the world government one is at the top of the list, but also culturally. You're seeing what happens now. I mean, you're seeing what's happening with the migrant caravans that are being forced into Europe. It's not going well. Certain countries are on fire right now. Not everybody integrates. Not everybody is meant to live with one another, right? It's just a fact. And Europe is so broad in its culture. I mean, you could take an entire year traveling around Europe and see everything. From hardcore Islamic type rule in the Stan regions in Eastern Europe, and to the Western Europe is so different culturally. So the idea that you're going to group everybody up together and everybody's just going to get along, I don't think that works. So their preference for Europe to remain individual countries would be, I think, is what's best for the world. But they didn't ask me, surprisingly. But this isn't the first time that the Heritage Foundation has put out a giant manifesto. This project 2025 is nothing new, actually. Right after Reagan won in 1980, and he was inaugurated in 1981. So I'm assuming right before he got shot by George H.W. Bush's family's friend, the Hinckleys. Right before he got shot, one of the co-founders of the Heritage Foundation gave Reagan's inbound transition team a 3,000-page step-by-step process combined with a wish list, I guess, right? It was 3,000 pages. It was like, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. And this is what we want. And they called it was called the Mandate for Leadership. Rebuilding America's Defense. It was called Rebuilding America's Defense. No, it was called a Mandate for Leadership. And it was 3,000 pages long. And they grabbed Ed Meese when he came in and they said, hey, listen, dummy, take this book over to Reagan and tell him this is what we put him in office. So he's going to do all these things for us. This is how it works. I'm sorry to explain this to the Democrats that out there, the left, that are all up in arms about Project 2025 is a threat to our democracy. Project 2025 is a wish list for Santa Claus. Okay. It's what they want. It doesn't mean they're going to get it. It's what they want. Okay. And you can't fault them for saying this is what we want. If they rally behind you to help put you in office, and you can quantify that however you want. Like, I don't know if any of these groups is directly responsible for getting a person into office, but it all helps, right? And whether you're taking money from them or you're taking influence from them or whatever, you owe them. That's why American politics is by default, and just the way the system is set up, it's designed poorly, where, you know, people finance you to run for president, then you become president, and then they're like, all right, well, now it's time for you to pay me back. And of course you feel that way. Hell, you would feel that way if somebody got you a job, right? Your buddy, you know, who you kind of know sort of well, he's like, hey man, I just thought of you for this great new job. There's a job opening at my company. I suggested you. I think it'd be great. You're not going to take that guy out to lunch and thank him. You're not going to buy that guy beers sometime. Of course you are. I mean, it's the right thing to do. So if somebody puts you in the White House, of course you're going to look out for them. And I don't even mean in a nefarious sort of way, right? I mean, you got to make some decisions. You're certainly not going to give contracts to the left. They botch them, you know, they would gender it up and to the point where nothing would ever get done. So you're going to give it to the people that you think can get things done, right? Maybe you have a good relationship with the Heritage Foundation. Maybe you're going to give them this stuff anyway. Here's the thing, is that it's hard to sort of delineate whose ideas are Heritage Foundations and whose ideas are Trump's, because there's a lot of overlap between them. It's not like they just came up with these ideas. I mean, it is conceivable and an actual fact that their agendas overlap. So if somebody on the left says Donald Trump is implementing Project 2025, the answer is, yeah, parts of it, because that's what he's always wanted to do. They didn't need to tell him that. They didn't need to tell him that they wanted all these things in order for him to do those things. He was going to do them anyway. But they're on his list. I mean, they're on the Heritage Foundation's list, so they send it over. Now, is everything going to get done? No, of course not. Or is some of it going to get done? Yes, but it was going to get done anyway. Is some extra going to get done because they financed and helped Trump? Probably, because that's how it goes. And so the Heritage Foundation isn't doing anything that other administrations haven't already done. And I'm not trying to defend them because I don't like them, but let's be honest about it. This isn't something that they're like, you know, rubbing their hands and saying, finally, we've got our hooks in the president. This shit goes on all the time. Okay. And it happened in 1980 with Reagan too. And so again, like if they want to freak out about something, they're just placing their order with the new administration, you know, and that's it. So it's not Trump's agenda, to be clear. The Project 2025 is not Trump's agenda. It's the Heritage Foundation's agenda. Okay. Trump's Agenda 47, or their formal policy plans, that they call it, their formal, it's pretty vague. You know, it's pretty vague. As they often are. I think they'll get into more specifics as we get closer to the election. But as it stands right now, Agenda 47 is vague the way they like it, right? So it can kind of be a little bit of anything. We're going to give you some talking. We're going to make America great again. You know, did you catch? I don't know if you heard that. I saw a press conference where they had one of the I don't know who she was. She was some lady that was standing in front of a microphone, and behind her is like a big banner. It's like Biden Harris 2024, and she's clearly out there like whoring herself out for the Biden administration. She's like, when we get into office, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make America great again. I was like, oh shit, are you that stupid? Like, you just get you. I mean, yeah, I the simulation is a trip, isn't it? So one of the things that Agenda 47 is going to do is it's going to reissue some of Trump's old policies, the ones that Biden pulled out. He's going to put it back in. They're going to deport a ton of illegals, right? They're going to roll in the National Guard into liberal shithole cities in order to restore sanity and, laws and things like that. The crime is out of control. So they talk about that. I mean, Trump is talking about putting the National Guard in these cities. I don't like that. I don't know what the solution is, really, because I sort of feel like the people that live in the shithole cities that voted for this should actually have to just suffer through it. You know what I mean? And I understand that there's a lot of people that didn't vote for it that get captured in that. And I sympathize with them. But the only way that people are going to learn their lesson on this is that they have to see the results. They have to run this thing to the end, which is a complete bankrupting of these cities, of these governments, of the police forces. And maybe you just need to go through that in order to come out the other side and have people say, remember when we tried it your way and everything was lit on fire? Let's not do that anymore. Let's bring in anybody else. So, but Trump talks about bringing in the National Guard. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But if that's part of his Make America Great Again, and he says, well, these democratic shithole cities are part of America and we can't leave them behind. Well, okay, that's nice of him. I would have left him behind. I would have let Portland and San Francisco and Seattle and Philadelphia and New York and Chicago I would say you voted for it, you live with it, you deal with it. The rest of the world, the rest of the country, I should say, we're going to be doing things differently. If you want to join us, you can leave those places. If not, enjoy it. He talked about that. So all the things that Agenda 47 is talking about here, reissue some old policies, deport illegals, roll in the National Guard, make America great. These are all things that the Heritage Foundation loves, and that they also want through Project 2025. So when you read in there, you go, "Oh my God, this is terrible." What they want. Well, Trump wants it too. So these are the sorts of things that you don't even have to ask for if you're the Heritage Foundation. They're more than likely going to get done anyway. But you put it on the list just in case. They want to, Trump says he wants to go after the Mexican drug cartels and traffickers with the death penalty, right? Trump's talking about that. Heritage Foundation, they have a collective boner over this idea. They love it. Massive import tariffs. Yes, Heritage Foundation is fine with that. Open up America's energy production. Yes, reopen it, should say. Reopen the Anwar oil field in Alaska. Reissue oil platforms in the Gulf. Their leases. Biden shut them all down. Biden changed the legislation saying that the maximum number of oil platforms that he would license to be active in the Gulf was 10. But if you read the fine print, he had a provision that said that it was that the real number could be as low as 0. So they want to cut off the energy production of the United States. And Trump is saying that's going to change. When I come back into office, I'm opening this stuff up. No doubt he's going to finish some pipelines. No doubt he's going to fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. No doubt he's going to do all of the things with regard to oil and gas and removing legislation restrictions on this sort of drilling and whatnot. It's all coming off when he gets into office. And of course, Heritage Foundation and their supporters love that. A lot of them come out of the energy sector, and they have watched the Biden administration dismantle it. And so for them, it's an investment. Spend a little money to get Trump back in office. Well, what's it going to pay off for us? Well, he's going to open up oil and gas again. Okay, that'll work. That's good. That'll help them. They need that. It's actually a good thing too, because it creates energy independence And it's not to say that we won't still be buying oil from other countries, because we do, but we've got a real nice natural gas situation going on in America that needs to be expanded upon or changed, or hopefully we'll get to a point where we go to nuclear or cold fusion or something like that, and we don't have to worry about that. But until we get to that point, it's not going to cut it with windmills and solar panels. It's just not. And if you think that I'm wrong about that, well, just take a look at all of the solar panels that just get destroyed in a hailstorm, or require a ton of rare earth minerals and silver in them, and the wind farms off the coast that catch on fire and fall down when they're not killing whales and birds and all that stuff. So the whole thing, I'm all for alternative sources of energy. They're just not ready. They're just not ready. Wind is not a solution. Solar is not a solution. Not yet, at least. Maybe someday it will be. Hopefully someday it will be, because I am in favor of us finding renewable energy sources. But I'm also realistic, and I'm not going to say that this is ready for prime time when it's not. I mean, if you think that God knows we've done enough shows on the electric vehicle industry. The lunatics in California are saying, oh yeah, we're going to have everybody going to electric by 2035. Your power grid can't even handle an August summer day, right? Right now, forget 2035. So the whole thing is delusional. But and Trump will come in and Trump will change a lot of that stuff, and it needs to be changed. And I'm no Trump supporter, but I do recognize that the Democrats created massive problems. Trump will probably spend the first couple of years just undoing all of the crazy shit that these people put in place in the first place. So unless Kamala Harris wins the presidency, God help us all. Okay, let's get into it. Project 2012. Let's get into it from their side, from the Heritage Foundation side. There will be, like I said, there's going to be a massive overlap in this Venn diagram of who wants what between the Heritage Foundation and Trump. But if they can get him to sign off on their vision for the world, then their donors are just going to be so happy about this, right? And so they put out the 922 pages. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that bullshit. So we're going to summarize the two book set, okay? And if you are interested in reading it, it's available. You can go pull it down. I've got it. It's not. I've scrolled through it. It's written by 400 policy experts, scholars, propagandists over at the Heritage Foundation that have a very specific vision for how they want this administration to handle things. This is the Project for a New American Century line of thinking, right? So it's a little different in the sense that it's not coming right out and saying we need a new Pearl Harbor, but I think they don't ask for a new Pearl Harbor because they know they're getting one. So let's talk about this. There's 5 sections, and this is their policy. So, and within these 5 sections, they go into excruciating detail on what they want. I'm not doing that. So if you, like I said, if you want to get into the weeds, you can go for it in the document that's available. It's free. You can have fun with that. But I'm gonna just go through the 5 sections, and then within those 5 sections, just some bullet points and kind of what they're looking for. Section 1. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let me read this from their website. It says the 2025 Presidential Transition Project paves the way for an effective conservative administration based on 4 pillars: a policy agenda, presidential personnel database, presidential administrative academy, and playbook for the first 180 days of the next administration. Policy, personnel, training, handbook. Those are the 4 things. Okay. Now, we're going to get to those 4 things in a minute because I'll go through those in detail. 5 sections. Section 1, taking the reins of government. Okay. And within this, they then break out in detail what they want done in the White House office, the executive office of the president, and central personnel agencies, managing the bureaucracy. All right. So section 1 is who are we going to put in these executive groups, right? Who's going in the White House and who's going to be connected to the president in some way, shape, or form. So that's the first thing that we want to do. Build your team from the center out, right? So who are we going to surround Trump with in the White House? That's a huge decision. That's a big key. If you can have influence on who is going to be in this group very close to the White House and the president by default, then you're in the game. You're in the discussion, because this group has not a lot of say in not the big policy plans, but some of the details. They can help make sure that the contracts go your way and not to your competitors. So having control of the White House office, the executive office of the president, and then using that to sort of create your own hierarchical structure inside that inside the West Wing, that's huge, right? That would be a real win if the Heritage Foundation could have a say in that, could have influence in that. If you remember, when Obama got into office and Jamie Dimon from Citigroup sent over a list of people, he was like, all right, here's your cabinet. Here's the cabinet you're supposed to pick. And everyone's like, how dare you? You're a banker. You're going to tell the president who to pick in his cabinet. He's the president of the United States. He doesn't have to listen to you. I mean, you'd send over your list with all these people that Citigroup wants to install. And then how dare you think that? And you look at the list and then you look at who he put in his cabinet and it's identical. It's the same people. So he took the list from Citigroup and just said, yeah, you're right. We'll put all these people in. So corporations or groups like this do have influence. They can have influence in this. And it pays to have influence. I mean, if you're going to play the game, these people intend to play it to win, and to win means to get their guys as close to the president as possible. Section 2 is called the Common Defense. And it is broken down into the Department of Defense, which I am petitioning that we rename it. We changed the name back to where it was before World War II, which was the Department of War. Because that's what it is. There's no defending going on. They switched the name to Department of Defense after World War II because they wanted to give the impression that they weren't going to be doing any more wars. But that's of course a huge lie. And there's no defending going on. Because if there was defending going on, we wouldn't have 8 figures of illegals coming across the southern border. So there's no defending. This is war. So the common defense. Number 1, Department of Defense /war. Number 2, Department of Homeland Security, which I would banish first day. If I were the president, Department of Homeland Security would be gone the first day, and Alexander Mayorkas would be in a cage, being tried for war crimes or treason or both. State Department is on this list. They want to take over the State Department, of course. There's no surprise there. They also have the intel community on this. They intend to have some sort of influence in who is being moved up the ranks inside the CIA and FBI. Media agencies, they talk about the relationship that they have with the media, the relationship that they intend to have moving forward in this administration. They want the messaging of the Heritage Foundation and the messaging coming out of the president to be one and the same. Good luck with that. USAID is on this list, so you know that they're talking about regime change and depopulation with that. That's the United States Agency for International Development, and we know about them, right? So that's section 2. That's of this Project 2025 manifesto. Section 3, the general welfare. Because they care about our welfare so much. And this is where they break down by chapters what they intend to do with the Department of Agriculture. Oh, one of the other things I will say in this book, there is one thing that I thought was kind of interesting in this, and like I said, I didn't read the whole thing, but I went through and looked. It also is sort of like a government for dummies, sort of in a sense. There's big parts in here. It says it lists the agency. It lists it would say Department of Agriculture, and then it would list the titles of the Department of Agriculture of all the people. all the spots that you could nominate somebody to take these positions. And then for each position, it says what they do and who they report to. I thought that was a smart thing to do. It's like, what is the assistant deputy director of HUD? And it says, this person does this. And you go, oh, okay. So in a sense, they sort of make it easy for you to understand how this is going to work out. So when you get to Section 3 and you start reading about the general welfare, they talk about the Department of Agriculture. They talk about the Department of Education, which I would shut down. They talk about the Department of Energy, which needs to get its act together. Then they go into the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, Health and Human Services, HUD, I just mentioned, Department of Interior, who's going to be in charge of the Department of Interior, who's going to be our contact that we install at the Veterans Administration, right? We need to have somebody there. Here's a huge one. And again, if I were Emperor Trump, on day one, this is Department of Justice. Day one of the Department of Justice, day one as Trump administration, second time around, I would call a big meeting with all of the heads of the Department of Justice. I would get them all in a big room. And then individually, one by one, I would say, you go with that guy. We're going to have you fill out some paperwork. And as he goes with that guy and he walks out of the room, he's put in handcuffs. And I would arrest every single one of these high-ranking members of the Department of Justice. I would put them in individual separate rooms and I would interrogate them until they tell me what the fuck is going on. And then I would try them for their crimes and send them to prison or Guantanamo Bay or hang them at the town square, whatever. But the Department of Justice is a criminal enterprise being run by actual lunatics. Merrick Garland is a traitor to the United States. And I don't get all weepy about, the American flag and everything like that, but he is a traitor to the United States. I would forget show trials. I would have actual trials for these people, I mean, it would be a show, but it would have to be an actual trial. And of course the left would freak out and everything. And but again, there has to be some accountability. These people just, if Merrick Garland and Alexander Mayorkas and these Zionist scumbags are able to slip through the cracks and go disappear when this administration comes out, then nothing ever changes, right? That's the deep state for you. So if Donald Trump is serious about cleaning up the swamp, which he isn't because he brought in the swamp to help him clean up the swamp, but if he had an epiphany, maybe after this shooting and decided that he actually did want to clean up the swamp, the place to start would be the Department of Justice. And I mean there would be mass arrests. I'd just be like, let's take everybody. Let's take everybody that is in a high-ranking position. The top 300 people in the Department of Justice would be in handcuffs. You explain to me why you shouldn't be. We're going to do that. You know what we're going to do? We're going to use the Patriot Act against you the way you used it against everybody else. You are an enemy combatant and terrorist, a domestic terrorist operating on the homeland. Your trials will take place outside of this country. So that's my fantasy. It's not going to happen, but it should. Labor Department is on this. Transportation Department is on this. Look, you guys don't want to go with Pete Buttigieg again? You guys at the Heritage Foundation? I mean, I'm really surprised that the gay man who bought 2 children with his husband and has run the transportation of the United States into the ground. You guys have plans for somebody else besides him? Wow, imagine that. Section 4, the economy. And then this gets into their intentions and preferences with the Department of Commerce, the Treasury, the Export-Import Bank, the Federal Reserve, which would be closed. And you talk about handcuffs. I would order drone strikes on every Federal Reserve bank operating inside the United States. Just kidding. I would arrest them all, though. Small Business Administration, they want that group involved. The Heritage Foundation is interested in that. And, of course, trade. And that should be no real surprise here. None of this stuff is surprising. It's just, like I said, it's kind of a wish list for what they want. Whether they'll get it or not, well, we'll have to keep score. We'll see after a presidential term by Trump. 4 years, maybe 4 years, maybe he doesn't make it, maybe he never even becomes president. I am making the assumption that he is going to become the president, by the way, because the script says so. That's why. Section 5, independent regulatory agencies. They want independent, you say? Not for long, not after the Heritage Foundation gets done with it. They're most definitely, they want to be installed into these regulatory agencies, which is financial regulatory agencies, Federal Communication Commission, FCC. They want control of the FCC. They want Federal Election Commission. You might want to reevaluate the entire Federal Election Commission because that ain't working. And the Federal Trade Commission. Okay. So those are, that's me paraphrasing 922 pages and breaking it down into their 5 sections. Okay. Section 1, taking the reins of government. Section 2, common defense. Section 3, the general welfare. Section 4, the economy. Section 5, independent regulatory agencies. Okay. So that's the book. I mentioned that on their website, they say that they have, there's 4 pillars for the 2025, this is from their website, the 2025 Presidential Transition Project paves the way for an effective conservative administration based on 4 pillars. What are these 4 pillars? A policy agenda, presidential personnel database, presidential administration academy, and playbook for the first 180 days of the next administration. Policy, personnel, training, playbook. Let's examine. Personnel. Okay. We know what the policy is, right? They've talked about the policy. The policy is the book, right? Well, the policy is in the book, right? Personnel. This is kind of weird to me. Now, if you go to the website, you have the option of uploading your resume into their system and submitting it to become part of their conservative movement. Or they even go so far as to say working in the Trump administration. Or no, they don't say Trump. Let me be clear. They don't say Trump. They're not allowed to say Trump. They talk about the next president. It's Trump, right? It's by default it's Trump, but they don't say that. They working in the next administration. So they're like, this is like I don't know, it's like a jobs posting, but to work at the White House, to work in the Trump administration through the Heritage Foundation. So this is what they're doing. They're saying that what they will do is they will accept your resume that you submit, and then they will put you through an indoctrination and propaganda phase known as training. And then you're ready. And so then you're ready to go through the third part, which is training, policy, personnel, training, playbook, right? So the personnel is like, we're the Heritage Foundation. We're going to go out and we're going to find you all the people to work in your administration. You like this? You like what we're doing? You're down with what we're talking about? Hey, you 130,000 people that we extract money from. And if you guys think that you're qualified to be in this administration or you would like to, put your resume in our, upload it to our system. We certainly aren't going to use that for nefarious purposes in the future or anything like that. But maybe you would be selected, right? Now, you do get selected. Let's say you do get selected and you go through step 3, which is training, right? This is identify the appointee positions that a new person might be a fit for. So they're going to look through your background and figure out, like, would you be good in the commerce department? Would you be good in media? Are you more of a tech person? Like, where do you fit in this whole thing? They would start the process of doing background checks and security clearances for you so that you would be ready to roll when this thing is operational. They will do media training, and they'll give you a media training classes and manage media and staffers. So that's part of what they're doing. They want to make sure that you're good on camera, good, in the interviews and whatnot, if you have to be, or good in front of a group of people doing a presentation. So they're going to give you media training. This is my company. I've been doing this since 2001, getting professional athletes ready for the media, public speaking, commercials, broadcasting, all that stuff. So we're familiar with this. And here's the thing. This is a fully online program. All courses are on demand right now. In-person component is coming soon, but it's not up and running yet. And all these courses are between 30 minutes and 90 minutes. So, and you get certificates for completing the programs. And this entire program is free. It's free to you. So, question to the audience. Who out there is going undercover to go to work for the Heritage Foundation? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. I think half the people that James O'Keefe at the old Project Veritas would catch, the gay guys that run Grindr, they probably work at the Heritage Foundation. I'm just saying, it's so hardcore white conservative that it gets into that like Franklin scandal kind of territory. I'm just saying they might fly in pizzas from Chicago. And then lastly on this list is the playbook. We're going to wrap up with this. The playbook, 180-day playbook for transition. This is what they did with Ed Meese, the 3,000 pages. They're like, here's the playbook, man. Follow it. And this is what they're doing with Trump. It's transition plan for each federal agency. What are we doing with the Department of Transportation? Getting rid of Pete Buttigieg, and we're bringing in somebody that knows how to drive a car or has been on a train before, or maybe flies on airplanes, or, maybe gives a shit about the transportation inside the United States. So this is what they do. They've got, they're forming agency teams, and really this playbook, the last step on this, the number 4, the playbook is the book. If you've got the book, the 900 pages, that's the playbook. Okay. Learn it, know it, love it, right? This is the playbook. So, and they go through and they say, we have 4 promises. We're making 4 promises to you. They'll break all of them, but nonetheless, it's their manifesto and they can write it however they want, right? So they have 4 promises in there. Promise number 1, I promise not to rape these kids. No, I'm just kidding. They would never promise not to do that. Promise number 1, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. Protect our children. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm just saying the Heritage Foundation has a long history of being involved in some really fucked up stuff. Okay, so again, promise number 2, dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people. That sounds nice. Why stop with the administrative state? It's dismantle the entire state. Well, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Promise number 3, defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. Yeah, that's going to require first of all, okay. This puts me in the border situation is a conundrum here, right? We create situations in which countries are so destabilized that people want to leave and go anywhere else to get away from it. And America is a great place to come to when you want to get away from it. So we create a lot of this ourselves. So defending our borders, I mean, you can't just have 10 million people coming across your border and expect things to go well. Look at Europe. So defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll say fine on that one. Promise number 4, secure our God-given individual right to enjoy, quote, the blessings of liberty. That sounds like some nonsense to me. The blessings of liberty? What is that? What are the blessings of liberty? This is pretty vague. All right, so look, who cares? Because like I said, they're going to break all these promises anyway. It's just talking points. The book goes into detail about what each office or agency does. It lists everyone's responsibilities. That's kind of a neat thing. It's a good idea. You should maybe take a look at this book. Look, it's not. I would love the left wants to have something to freak out about. That oh God, here it comes. They're this is what they're going to do. It's work camps and forced abortions and all this. I mean, it's none of that stuff, right? Or it's forced childbirth, no abortions, I should say, right? whatever the left has imagined this thing to be, let them imagine it. If it makes them crazy, good. Let them spiral out of control because they've read this handbook and they think that they're coming to get put into camps. If the left fears that, then good. They should fear it. I don't care. They should fear something, because they have been acting without fear for a long, long time, because their guy's been in office and he's allowed them to just run around like lunatics, lighting places on fire and doing whatever they want. So if they fear that the Republicans are going to come in here and clamp down on them, then good. Take that fear and manifest it. I don't think the Republicans are. I think they're soft. I think they're weak-ass bitches when it comes to getting any of this stuff done. They always say they're going to do it, and then they say, well, we're going to meet the Democrats halfway. Why? They wouldn't do it to you. Why would you negotiate with them in good faith? They don't negotiate with you in good faith. I mean, if the Republicans wanted people to take them seriously, when Trump got into office, he would put these people in prison. The people would go, now we're talking. Now we're finally getting somewhere. Oh, you've restored law and order to some of these cities. About time, right? So there's going to be, but again, here is the fear. Here is the problem with this too, is that it's the whipsaw effect, right? You go so far left with Biden and his Antifa groups and the way they reimagine society that people go, no way, I don't want anything to do with that. I want the exact opposite of that. And then it whips back the other direction. And the other direction isn't just normalcy. It isn't just the way it used to be. It's an overcorrection. It's an authoritarian hammering down too. So, I kind of joke about, we round these people up and put them on, but the truth is, if you start doing that, you create a situation where you become the thing that you are fighting against. And so I have no, these people, this group at the Heritage Foundation, I don't have a ton in common with them. They have some things that they write about that they claim that they're anti-climate change, which is nice. They're pro-small government, which is nice, I'm pro no government, which is better, but smaller government is better than, so some of the things that they want aren't like hardcore Christian, hardcore right, sort of desires. It's actually, some of it is rather logical and very reasonable. So not to the left, though. Everything's unreasonable to the left. So the reason why they're freaking out is because they're like, they've misread everything, if they can even read. And they don't know anything about anything. They just know that Rachel Maddow and Joe Scarborough, who may or may not have killed his intern, are telling them that they're supposed to be terrified of Project 2025. And of course, they've just put the new chip in, and they've been standing with Ukraine, and they're so tired of standing with Ukraine that now they're just going to sit down and have to process 2025, but they're never going to read it. They're never going to actually do any work. They're just going to take a soundbite from Rachel Maddow telling everybody that she's moving to Antarctica if Donald Trump becomes the president again. And fine, whatever. So nothing new. Don't worry about it. If your elderly parents are calling you saying, we hear that Trump is going to institute this plan, it's going to be fine. Everything's fine. These aren't the blood dripping monsters that the left wants you to be scared of. I mean, they might be the blood drinking monsters, but they're certainly not like the blood dripping ones. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. What a time to be paying attention, huh? Hey, if you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. Support the show. Macroaggressions.io is the best place to do that. If you haven't rated the show, we appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you again soon.